Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about generalized tonic-clonic seizures. We will discuss this topic with the following outline, like various definitions of this topic, classification of seizures, followed by details of GTCS, like its etiology, pathophysiology, clinical presentation, diagnosis, and its pharmacotherapy, followed by prescription for the GTCS and a case study with the exercise of prescription and criticism. So let us begin with the definitions of this topic. Firstly, we need to know the differences between seizure, convulsion, and epilepsy. Seizure is defined as transient occurrence of sign or symptoms due to abnormal, excessive, and synchronous neuronal firing in the brain. It literally means that large number of adjacent neurons will simultaneously undergo depolarization due to some sort of underlying pathological stimulus. Depending on area of the brain involved, seizures can have various manifestations ranging from motor symptoms to sensory symptoms. Convulsions are defined as violent involuntary contractions of the body musculature produced by cerebral seizure activity. Therefore, convulsions are motor manifestations of seizure, and muscle group that it involves depends on the area of the brain affected. Epilepsy is defined as chronic neurological disorder manifesting as recurrent seizures. It results from the underlying paroxysmal discharges of neurons within CNS. So, epilepsy refers to a clinical phenomena rather than a single disease entity. Some other terminologies like aura, it is defined as initial subjective internal events that is not directly observed by someone else. It signals the beginning of the seizures. This includes sensations of unusual intense odors like burning rubber or kerosene, some sounds also. Some patients described it as odd internal feeling like fear, a sense of impending doom, deja vu, or illusions. Now, ictus is synonym for seizures. So, post-ictal phase means a period after the seizure. It usually lasts longer than the seizure itself, and it has its own signs and symptoms that we'll see forward in the presentation. Now, coming to the classification of the seizures. International League Against Epilepsy, that is ILAE 2017, classified the epileptic seizures as follows. A fundamental principle is that seizure can either be focal or it can be generalized. So the focal onset seizures originate within limited network to one cerebral hemisphere. These focal seizures can be further described as having intact awareness or impaired awareness, or it can also progress to secondary generalization into the GTCS. Generalized seizures arise within and rapidly engage huge network distributed across both the cerebral hemispheres. There are several types of generalized seizures like absence seizures, tonic or clonic, tonic and clonic, atonic, myoclonic, etc. The third category is unclassifiable seizures which do not fit into any of the above groups. Now coming to the topic of our GTCS, both etiology and incidence of GTCS depends on the age of the patient. Age-wise etiology is as follows. Neonates, that is newborn less than 4 weeks. Causes of GTCS are perinatal hypoxia and ischemia, intracranial hemorrhage, CNS infections, developmental disorders, genetic disorders, and metabolic disturbances. In infants, that is age more than 4 weeks, and children. The reasons are febrile seizures, genetic disorders, metabolic disturbances, CNS infection, developmental disorders, trauma, and idiopathy. In adults, causes can be trauma, illicit drug use, brain tumor, cerebrovascular disease, alcohol withdrawal, metabolic disorders, degenerative CNS diseases, and idiopathy. As you can notice here, metabolic disturbances is the common cause in all the three groups. Now coming to the pathophysiology of GTCS or any seizure. Now to understand this, we need to know that seizure activity can be divided into seizure initiation and propagation. Now seizure activity is initiated by intense hypersynchronous firing known as excitatory burst or paroxysmal depolarization shift or PDS. Due to this, the seizure initiation now needs to progress to adjacent area of the brain to give rise to the symptoms. But normally this seizure spread is stopped by the phenomenon known as surround inhibition. Now what is surround inhibition? It simply means the intact hyperpolarization of the surrounding neurons. But for propagation, there needs to be sufficient activation, and it is achieved by recruitment. Recruitment is involvement of surrounding neurons by loss of surround inhibition. This surround inhibition is lost by various synaptic and non-synaptic mechanisms like hyperpolarization, blunting in extracellular fluid by loss of potassium or increase in potassium, accumulation of calcium in presynaptic terminals which leads to enhanced neurotransmitter release, or it can have NMDA receptor activation which causes additional calcium influx, and these mechanisms causes loss of surround inhibition. Now because of that, it will cause the propagation of the seizure activity by local or long commissural cortical pathways like corpus callosum. To understand the pathophysiology by animated schematic diagram over here, first, in normal patients, if there is seizure initiation or PDS, there will be normal surround inhibition and the seizure activity will stop there itself because there will be no propagation. But in the patient, after the seizure initiation or PDS, there is loss of surround inhibition, and this will lead to the propagation of the seizure activity by recruitment phenomena leading to propagation. This gives rise to the symptoms of seizures. Now coming to the clinical presentation of GTCS, it can be divided into three main phases. The first is pre-ictal or before the ictus or seizure. It can have aura or it can have premonitory symptom. Ictus can be divided further into tonus and clonus phase. And the last phase is the post-ictal phase or after the seizure. So, seizure activity can begin abruptly without any warning. But some patients of GTCS can have premonitory vague symptoms that leads to seizures. Aura is only seen in GTCS when it is due to secondary generalization of the focal seizures. So the initial phase of the ictus is tonus phase. It is tonic contraction of the muscles throughout the body. Tonus literally means sustained contraction of muscles. Tonic contraction of muscles of larynx at onset produces loud moan or ictal cry. Tonus of the jaw muscle can cause biting of the tongue. After 10 to 30 seconds of tonus phase, it typically evolves into clonic phase. In clonic phase, there is contraction and relaxation of the muscles rapidly, characterized by repetitive rhythmic jerks that involves both the sides of the body at the same time. This clonic phase lasts for about 1 to 5 minutes. After this, there is the post-ictal phase. It is characterized by unresponsiveness or semi-comatose state of the patient. It can have muscular flaccidity and excessive salivation, which may lead to the partial obstruction of the airway. There is also loss of corneal reflex and loss of extensor plantar response, which we commonly know as positive Babinski sign. There can be loss of sphincter control, which leads to urination and defecation. Patient gradually regains the consciousness over minutes to hours, and during this transition, there is a period of post-ictal confusion. Patient subsequently complains of headache, fatigue and muscle ache, and this can last from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Now for the diagnosis of GTCS or seizures, we need to foremost give or take detailed history of the patient. It includes personal history, past history and family history. It is very important for differential diagnosis of different type of seizures. The next is blood investigations. This is very important to rule out metabolic and electrolyte disturbances. Next one is radiological examination like X-ray, skull CT or MRI to rule out trauma and brain tumors. Lumbar puncture for CSF examination helps us to determine if it involves CNS infections like meningitis or encephalitis. And last but not the least, EEG, that is electroencephalogram. It is important diagnostic tool to determine the seizure activity by seeing the different waveforms. For GTCS, the typical presentation on EEG is tonic phase will have polyspike discharges, clonic phase will have typical spike and wave pattern. It is followed by post-ictal phase showing slow recovery. And for the treatment, now we need to understand the mechanism of action of anti-epileptic drugs, and this falls in the three major categories. The first mechanism can be modulation of cationic channels like sodium channel, potassium channel or calcium channel. The second one can be facilitation of inhibitory GABA transmission through actions on either GABA receptor or modulation of the GABA metabolism, or it can be inhibition of GABA reuptake into the synaptic vesicles. The third mechanisms can be inhibition of T type of calcium current. Now, sodium valproate acts via all three mechanisms, so it is the drug of choice for GTCS. It is broad spectrum anticonvulsant drug with lesser side effects compared to benzodiazepines and barbiturates. It has good oral absorption and it is completely metabolized by liver and excreted in urine. Its plasma half-life is about 10 to 12 hours. Its common adverse effects are mainly gastrointestinal like anorexia, vomiting and diarrhea, while some of the dose-related adverse effects are ataxia and drowsiness. Some lesser frequent ADRs with valproate are weight gain, tremors, alopecia, bleeding due to thrombocytopenia. Valproate is also a teratogenic drug, and its administration during pregnancy can cause spina bifida and neural tube defects in the fetus. It is absolutely necessary to note that stoppage of anti-epileptic drugs in pregnancy cannot be done. It is absolutely mandatory to continue the treatment, but switching of the drug can be done to prevent the teratogenic effects of the drug to the fetus. Therefore, in such cases of pregnancy, we can switch to the newer anti-epileptic agents like lamotrigine or levetiracetam, which is safer with very low teratogenic potential. It is also important to note that we cannot abruptly stop the continuing medication, and we need to slowly taper off the drug, and we need to start the new drug by dose titration gradually. The alternative first-line drugs for GTCS are carbamazepine, phenytoin and phenobarbital. Phenytoin and carbamazepine act by similar mechanism of action, that is prolongation of sodium channel in inactivated state and reduction of repetitive neuronal firing. Carbamazepine can be considered the primary drug of choice for treatment of GTCS because of its better adverse effect profile compared to phenytoin, especially in young female patients, but due to its complex pharmacokinetic properties like slow and erratic oral absorption, poor aqueous solubility, enzyme autoinduction and disproportional dose to drug concentrations in plasma, valproate is preferred over carbamazepine. Its main adverse effects are dose related like dizziness, ataxia, sedation, diplopia, vomiting and diarrhea. In spite of same mechanism of action, phenytoin is second line to that due to its poor adverse effect profile like gum hypertrophy, hirsutism, coarseness of facial features, megaloblastic anemia, fetal Hailey-Hailey syndrome, etc. Phenobarbital is a barbiturate and its narrow therapeutic index and poor adverse effect profile is the main reason why it is used as alternative agent for treatment of GTCS. Now, writing a prescription for the case of GTCS, standard format is as follows. The first will be superscription with doctor details and patient's details. Doctor's details like doctor's name, degree, address and registration number, followed by patient details like patient's name, age and sex, weight, address and history of any previous drug allergies. It is followed by inscription. It has RX symbol followed by tablet valproate 200 mg in block letters with amount that is 60. It is followed by direction of use, that is one tablet to be taken twice a day, 12 hours apart with meal. It is followed by subscription which has doctor's signature and date. It should also have patient education and communication. It is as follows. Do not discontinue the medicine abruptly without physician's advice. Why is this advice necessary? Because abrupt cessation of anti-epileptic drugs can cause increased seizure activity after stopping the medication. Regular follow-up is necessary, firstly to check the drug compliance by the patient, and also if any dose titration is necessary, it can be fulfilled. Stop intake of alcohol. This is very important to say because alcohol intake can reduce or lower the seizure threshold. Treatment should be continued for 3 years after the last seizure, and then it can be reviewed by the physician. This is also very important advice because this is as per the guideline. Avoid high risk activities such as stress, swimming, driving, working with heavy machinery. This is very important because anti-epileptic drugs are known to cause drowsiness and sedation. Also, this high risk activity, if the patient seizes around this activity like swimming or driving, it can cause the patient harm or it can also harm others. During convulsion, tongue bite should be avoided by placing a piece of cloth in the mouth, and sharp objects should be removed from the surrounding. This is very important to avoid the injury to the patient when the patient is seizing. So this education and communication with the patient as well as the relatives of the patient is very important. So let us now have exercise of a case study of how to criticize and how to write the correct prescription for the case. A 20-year-old female patient weighing 56 kg is brought to medicine OPD with history of episode of sudden onset, sustained contraction of muscles, drooling of saliva and tongue bite last night. The episode lasted for 5 minutes and it was followed by sleep. Patient gives past history of suffering from similar episode last week. Her EEG and blood investigations were normal. She is diagnosed with generalized tonic-clonic seizures. She was prescribed medication as follows. RX, tab aptoin 30, tab ethosuximide 30, Dr. ABC. Criticize and rewrite the above prescription. So now coming to the answer of the prescription and criticism. Firstly, we will solve this by criticizing the given prescription. Now, to criticize the given prescription, we need to evaluate the given prescription in two main things. Firstly, the format of the prescription. And second, the pharmacotherapy that is actually prescribed to the patient. It can have incorrect details or it can have missing details. And keeping this in mind, we are criticizing the following case, like the format of the prescription is incorrect, obviously, because the superscription is missing. The dose, duration of the treatment and direction to take the medication is also missing in the inscription part. Even follow-up and patient education are also not mentioned. Date of the prescription is also missing in the subscription. Now, the next part is the pharmacotherapy. Firstly, the brand name was used instead of generic name, that is Aptoin for phenytoin. Abbreviations like tab are used instead of tablet. Sodium valproate should be the drug of choice instead of phenytoin because young female patient can suffer from varied cosmetic adverse effects like coarseness of facial features, hirsutism and gingival hyperplasia. Obviously, ethosuximide cannot be used for GTCS because the mechanism of action is inhibition of T-type calcium current, which is the underlying pathology of absence seizures. So it cannot be prescribed for GTCS. So we have to criticize the pharmacotherapy, that whether it is mentioned, if yes, if it is mentioned, then it is correctly mentioned or not. If it is not correctly mentioned, what is the recommended medication that should be prescribed in the correct format. So to summarize the criticism, we need to check the format of the given prescription, whether the abbreviations or brand name are used, and finally, if the given pharmacotherapy is correct for the given condition or not. Now, corrected prescription is as follows. Superscription will have the name of the doctor, the degree, address and registration number, followed by the patient details like name of the patient, 20 years old female, that is age and sex of the patient, weight of the patient, that is 56 kg, address and history of allergy is also mentioned over here in superscription. Now the inscription part will have RX, tablet sodium valproate 200 mg with the amount that is 60 tablets. Direction is given as 1 tablet to be taken twice a day, 12 hourly after the meals. Subscription will have signature of the doctor along with the date. This should be always followed by patient education and communication with seizures patient. It is as follows, as we discussed earlier. Do not discontinue the medications abruptly without physician's advice. Regular follow-up. Intake of alcohol has to be stopped. Treatment should be continued for at least 3 years after the last seizures and has to be reviewed by the physician. Avoid high-risk activities like stress, swimming, driving, and working with heavy machinery. During convulsions, tongue bite should be avoided by placing a piece of cloth in the mouth. and sharp objects should be removed from the surrounding of the patient. These are the references used for this presentation. So happy learning and stay safe. Thank you.